Previously on the Belladonna Watch Club.
It's the tantalizing sensuality of spores, molds, and fungus.
Ha. She ran from you and now she's here. And now we're going to let her stay as long as she wants to. And if you want to come see her, we'll talk about it. Anyway, so then Lorelai gets off the phone feeling like completely powerless because, again, she's being denied access to her daughter and not given like any tangible plan whatsoever of even like, I'll have her call you tomorrow after school to discuss it. Like nothing. It was just like left so vague and open-ended, which would drive me crazy. I would be like, I need to know what the plan is. And if the plan needs to change, fine. But I need to know what to expect from this situation with my kid. And that's where I'm getting like defensive mama bear about this because like she is denying her access to her child. And that is not okay for me. Yeah. So they get off the phone and she's like, yeah, so she's with my parents in Hartford. And Max is like, good. Like, read the room, man. That's not good. No one thinks that's good. Like, Rory thinks it's good. Emily thinks it's good.
Why is Max here? Why is he
bugs
here?
me. He bugs me in this episode. He bugs me in like almost all the episodes. But just wait till the next episode with Max. So Lorelai's like, good? That's not good. Like, that is like the worst place she could possibly be for me right now because she's feeling it too. Like, she knows that her mother is going to use this and like hold it against her somehow. And that's going to be something that she's like, yeah, well, remember the time where Rory left you and came here? And so like Max has no idea. Like, where has he been? He knows that the relationship is tense between them. Like, he's trying to be like, good, she's safe. And she's like, that's not a safe place. Like, read the room. And then he like picks a fight with her. Like, this is not the time, Max. Because then he brings up like, well, why didn't Rory know about us if the fight was about us and that she didn't know that we had been talking on the phone for 2 weeks? Again, with the timeline.
Yeah.
Lorelai's just like, I don't know. Like,
no one needs to know. I don't know.
Like,
all kinds of other things have happened. Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, if you didn't tell Rory, did you tell people at work? Did you tell other people? And she's like, well, it just hasn't come up. Like, I don't know. Like,
you were a secret from the start. Like, yeah.
Like, you didn't want to tell people in the staff room. Come on, man.
We've already established this is a weird thing. It's Rory's teacher and her mother. Like, we know this is unusual. She's not going to go blabbing to everybody. Hey, guess what? I'm talking to her teacher again.
Especially, yeah, when they don't have like, they haven't even been on another date yet. Maybe when they've been actually going out for a while, they would say, I have a date with Max, or I went out last night with Max, or whatever, because phone calls could turn into nothing. Phone calls are like just people chatting. And what if they were chatting and then decided, no, Max, lay off, man. Like, she already spooked once before. Don't do this again.
Yeah.
He like gets on her case about it. I understand that he's like, well, is there anything that I need to know? Like, do I need to be looking more into this? And then there is. And then she says no, but then he keeps going and it's annoying. And it's like,
but
again,
it's not the time. Put on a movie or something.
Just ran away. Yeah, she needs comfort and she needs brainless television and, you know, just chill. Like, calm her down rather than poking holes and prodding and like just makes me mad.
Lorelai has a face at the end. She makes a face she's clearly not comforted by him. She's clearly not satisfied with the conversation they just had or anything. I don't even remember what her last line is, but she makes a face as she leaves the room, which is just some kind of a like, God, that didn't go how I meant it to, or I didn't mean that, or you know, there's just a something.
Yes, I definitely caught that as well. It's like oh God, like drop it. Like, And next morning at the Gilmore's house, Rory comes in and she's wearing like her Chilton like top, but like a night dress or something, like some sort of skirt situation, like flowing out.
Is it? Oh, I thought they were just pajama bottoms.
It looks like a skirt to me.
Oh, okay.
Because it looked like a night shirt because it looked like a scoopy and open at the bottom.
Oh no, that's her Chilton shirt, just
but
untucked.
Floral.
Is it? No. Her pajama pants are floral. She has her light blue shirt underneath her vest. And then on the bottom, she has pajama pants, I think. Which is me every time I come home. So instantly, whatever pants I'm wearing, take them off, throw on my pajama. Actually, that's me right now. Business on the top.
The right episode.
Pajama pants on the bottom. Hey!
Excellent. I'm wearing like a really, really stretchy, like one piece, like romper thing. This like, I bought it when I was pregnant, but it's stretchy enough that it doesn't look like a maternity thing. It's not a maternity thing, but I bought it because it was so stretchy that I was like, I can wear it, even like wear a big tummy. And I live in it most of the time. Oh, I guess because you can't really see. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. So I guess it is pajama pants, but it doesn't look like there's like a crease between the legs or anything that make it look like pants. So to me, it still looks like it's because it just looks like it's like a giant piece of fabric at the front. Her like little floral. Yeah, I was like, is she wearing that like on top of a night dress? Because it wouldn't surprise me at all that like the pajamas that Emily has for her are like a floral like nightgown, like I think teenage girls love this. Okay, so it could be pants. They're just extremely flowy.
Yes.
Okay, because it still looked like a skirt to me, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But yeah, so she's asking where her children's stuff is, and it's like, well, Rosa's pressing it. Like, imagine what a life. She sits down. She offers her breakfast, and I have a clip here. I have a clip like two right back to back of this breakfast conversation because I adore this.
Now, we have eggs, fruit, toast, pancakes, blintzes.
Anything would be fine.
Well, what do you usually eat?
Mostly I just grab a Pop-Tart.
That sounds delicious. I'll have Rosa whip one up for you.
No, eggs would be great.
Whip up a Pop-Tart. Like, you can't make a Pop-Tart, Emily. You don't know. She has no idea what a Pop-Tart is, obviously.
This reminded me of Emily and the frozen pizza evening.
Yes. Yep.
And I love that. I love this as like a recurring thing for her. That just like, ooh, normal person food, cheap food,
Processed crazy.
How exciting! But she genuinely liked the frozen pizza. Maybe she would like a Pop-Tart. I don't know. Who knows? I just like this little minor trait of hers.
Yeah. And the way that she was like, I'll have Rosa whip one up for you. That means like they don't have Pop-Tarts in the back. So that means this Rosa has to make the dough. It's like putting jam in it, like baking it, putting the icing on. Like, it's like that is not a whip it up kind of thing. Madame Gilmore, that's not how that goes.
No idea.
Like bougie Pop-Tart, which I've seen lots of recipes for and would be amazing. Rory settles on eggs, and this kind of bugs me because she's like, I'll go tell Rosa, what kind of eggs? That's like the most, like, she doesn't ask what kind of eggs. And there's so many different ways that people can have eggs. And sometimes it's gross if it's not the type of egg you want.
Rory strikes me as a scrambled eggs only girl. Definitely not poached.
No, but like over easy, like dip your toast in it kind of thing. Like not sunny side up because I think there'd be too much goo, possibility of too much goo. But just like a, cooked enough, dip your toast in it. Just basic. But it is scrambled eggs. I paid attention to what kind of eggs came out because it bugged me that she did not know what kind of eggs she wanted. And Emily leaves to go tell the cook about the eggs. And then we have this lovely scene, which felt so relatable.
What's new in the world today?
Well, as usual, it's going to hell in a handbasket.
It's nice to have something you can always count on.
It is at that.
Good point.
I love this.
Hell in a handbasket since at least 2001.
I think this is possibly the first time in the episode that Richard actually looks at Rory and is like, oh, you're here too. You're here. Let me chat with you. And I love the performance that
Alexis Bledel,
Alexis Bledel. I love her performance in this as a it's a fresh new morning. Let's start fresh. It's almost as if Rory is sort of pretending that she's like vacationing somewhere else.
Yeah, just here for the it was planned.
Yeah, I'm here at the table and I'm having a conversation and we're speaking with language. Like finally she's able to get away from the jokey tone conversations that Lorelai has been throwing at her all week long that she just has not been able to endure. And like she wanted to get away from all of it. And I think she's probably really, really appreciating that they are having a different kind of language chat. Because Rory this whole time has been like, I don't need to be protected. Why can't you talk to me like a grown-up? Or can't you do this and this and this? And she's getting that. So it's a nice little kind of escape bit for her, a nice little thing. Yeah, I wonder if she dreams about having like breakfast table conversations like this. Like, can we actually talk about world news without making a joke about it, or without can we actually have conversations from the newspaper across the breakfast table,
like a deep conversation or a proper conversation, rather than it just being like surface level wit and banter.
Mm-hmm.
Can it be a proper chat?
Yeah. And I wrote in here too about Emily. She must be thrilled to share again all of Rosa's creations. So she talks about all these things that Rosa can do, and like, what do we have for dinner tonight, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I think it doesn't even matter who it is really that she's sharing this with, but it's like, hey, I have all these wonderful staff who are capable of doing these things, and I want to share. I said, I've already said it before so many times, that for Emily and Richard, it's a second chance at parenting, at caregiving.
Mm-hmm.
And here is somebody who could possibly appreciate all of the, these new things, because Rory didn't grow up with like these wonderful foodstuffs that the staff can make. It's, let me show you these wonderful things. And Emily is clearly proud of her staff as well. I like that they don't have that kind of a like, they're the lowers and I don't even associate with them. Like, no, she is proud of it, and she is like supportive of her staff. And
she fires a lot of staff. Like, I think
the good ones, the good ones. Yeah. She is, the ones that she gets on with. At least she addresses them by name.
She appreciates quality in a job well done, and does not tolerate much less than that.
Oh yeah, no yelling about cheese.
Yeah, what's interesting about like what you're saying there is there. I think the Gilmores, what they take pride in their parenting is to be protectors and providers.
Providers,
and
yes,
they are both being able to provide for and protect Rory in this scenario. And at no point has Lorelai ever wanted protection from them or to be provided for by them. So it's not only just a second chance, it's a second chance in the style that they want and can thrive upon.
Yeah. It's a very, very good point. For Rory, it's a fun, great morning of like, ooh.
It feels like a hotel. Like because it's so prim and fancy and you have options for breakfast, you're not just like, here, it's like, we can make whatever you want. And would you like us to pack you a lunch? And like, we're going to get you to school. And, that's like, this is a service-oriented sleepover, which is fantastic. Yeah, because they have amenities. They have a toothbrush for you. You've got jammies. You've got all sorts of stuff. Somebody's pressing your clothes. Like this is a 5-star establishment that she has found herself in, which would make it feel like extra tempting to go to. Because also, I think she knew what she was doing when she went there. She did it also like to piss off her mom. She chose them.
See, I don't think so. I actually wrote here, this is my little blurb about this. So we already know this. Rory's trust and sense of safety and comfort is shaken from her best friend, her teacher, her mom, all of that. But of course, to both Lorelai and Emily, it must look and feel pointed. But I don't think 16-year-olds make decisions like that. They just go. I don't think Rory is the one who deliberately chooses to go to her grandparents' place. I think because where else is she going to go? She's obviously not going to go to Lane's. She's fighting with Lane. Where else can she go? It's just somewhere that's safe, somewhere where I have my own room now. I'm going to go. I don't think it was a deliberate thing. I think, but definitely to Lorelai and Emily, it looks that way.
Normally, had it been any other episode and even any other fight other than this one, I would say yes, that I agree with that. But because she was being so cruel to Lorelai right before that, like throwing all of her flaws in her face and like intentionally trying to hurt her in that argument, like you're just going to break up anyway. Like she was trying to hurt her. And so I think that like the thought probably crossed her mind as like, oh, well, I'm just going to go to grandma and grandpa's and like, I'm not going to go home. And like, that would like piss her off the most or whatever. But then the actual like act of doing it came from more of where like you were thinking. So I think the initial idea was like, well, if I'm just going to go somewhere and, you know, like, yeah, I'm going to go to grandma's and like, and then be like, you know what? I think probably I am going to go to grandma's because I will be safer there. So the idea I think came from the anger, and then the actual like acting upon it was like,
I think if the idea was there, then she would have spoken it to Lorelai, knowing that even the thought of it, the very thought of something like that, she would have been like, I don't want to be at home. I'm going to run off to grandma and grandpa's, because that would hurt as much, I think, as her actually going and doing it.
Yeah, because if she was trying to be hurtful, she would make it be known. Yeah, good point. And so they're talking at breakfast, and Emily does mention that Lorelai called last night, and Rory says, like, was she mad? And she was, but not at Rory. Like, she was mad in general. And Emily, I think, is trying to protect Rory here, not make her feel worse, because she knows, like, just by the look on Rory's face, that like she feels guilty about, you know, what she's done to her mom. And, you know, she says like she was concerned. So she doesn't want to say like she was upset with you for leaving. Like, so she is trying to keep that. She isn't trying to sabotage like overtly. So that I appreciate very much. But then immediately changes the subject before Rory could ask more questions or delve into it a little bit more. So that, again, makes it feel a little bit like Emily is trying to protect this like cocoon of Rory being there with them, because she doesn't give Rory even a split second to have a follow-up question. She changes it completely.
I think that's just a grandmother thing to do. Like, you clearly run away from whatever the problem is, so let's not talk about the problem. You're at grandma and grandpa's house. Let's talk about something nice. And obviously, and again, she doesn't know what they were arguing about. She doesn't know what it was about. So she wouldn't, I don't know. That just seemed to a very grandmothery thing. She seems very grandmothery to me.
She does. But I think she also knows what she's doing. Like, she knew what she was doing when she was asking Lorelai about the money and like planting all those little seeds. I think she doesn't want Rory thinking too much about Lorelai at this time. She wants to continue living in this blissful little hotel breakfast Pop-Tart moment for as long as possible.
The thing that Rory is currently enjoying too.
Yes, but Rory was also the one asking about Lorelai after. Like, if Rory didn't want to talk about it, she could have also just like changed the subject and moved on, you know? And so it just kind of, again, it just sort of bugged me that she didn't even give Rory the chance to ask a follow-up question or express anything else about the situation. And this is kind of showing a little bit maybe about where Lorelai gets some of her avoidance. Because
true.
Emily's fully avoiding the possibility of them talking about what happened, hearing about what happened. Like, she just, it's if it didn't happen, or if we don't talk about it, we can pretend like it didn't happen and we could live this way instead. Lorelai goes to Luke's. He's like, what the hell happened to you? She's like, what? And he's like,
I like this. I like that that's the first line, because finally Lorelai is getting a taste of her own medicine in a way, because her reaction to that is just like, wow, you know, way to be so crass and rude. That is exactly how she approaches every single conversation, every single time.
Yep.
And like, it doesn't work. It's not great. Read the room, Lorelai. Okay. Read the person's face. And obviously Luke, immediately turns around and is just like, whoa, what? He doesn't do the hammering back thing.
Well, but he does a little bit. He's like, well, what? You just look bad. He straight up does. You look bad. Like, what am I supposed to say? You come in here every day. I know when you don't look bad, and you look bad. Like, I'm going to ask you what happened.
She fires back. Yeah. With the, what happened to you?
And then she tells Luke that Rory ran away, and immediately he flies off the handle. And it's like, okay, blah, 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 relax. Like, we know where she is. We know what's going on, but I had a bad night because of it. And he's like, well, you could have led with that. Like, you don't need to react before she's even done talking. Like, let her tell the story. You think if she was actually not around, that she'd be sitting casually in the diner with you? Like, there'd be a search party. There would be dogs. Like, if she didn't know where she was, it would be all over town by now, Luke. Settle down, sir. She's got it under control. She is the parent. And so Lorelai tired, frustrated at this point. She's like, I still don't know what happened. You know, like she's so upset and she's been like this for so long and I still don't know what happened. And then they both get themselves like so riled up about Dean.
Snowballing of hatred.
And we've all been there where you're like thinking you're feeling okay about something and then you start ranting and then you're feeling angrier and angrier. And what you thought would make you feel better is making you feel worse. And then you're like, I am on a tear now.
The like plotting the demise of Dean is hilarious at the same time as being like, wow, you guys are two grown-ups. This is a 16-year-old boy.
You mean this part?
Maybe I could key his car.
Or better yet, you can key Taylor's car and tell him Dean did it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You can key Taylor's car, tell him Dean did it, and also tell him that Dean littered and walks his dog without a leash.
He'll run him out of town.
Good.
Is that the
You
part?
feel better, guys? Oh my God.
So mature. Yeah. And like, you know, from Lorelai's perspective, I get it. Like, I'd also want to, as she puts it, pinch his head right off if they hurt, you know, somebody hurt one of my kids. But yeah, you know, you're grown-ups. You're grown-ups. Mm-hmm. But they're also like early 30s grown-ups. So if I had a teenage daughter going through some shit right now, I think I'd probably talk like that. I think so. You know, they're getting each other all riled up. They're so upset with Dean. Lorelai notices the belt that she bought him. And he says that, oh yeah, you know, my other belt broke. So I used this one. And she's like, well, isn't it good you have an extra belt then? Like, you didn't break. It's upstairs in your closet. You just bought a fancy belt. Luke, it's okay. You can wear something nice. And then as she's like leaving, he just goes, hey, she'll be home soon. And that's the kind of just like calm, steady support that she needs.
She's needed that for the last like 12 hours, basically.
Yeah. Not Max is just like, oh, good, she's great. It's safe. Let's talk about something else. Like Max. And so Lorelai, in all her infinite wisdom, walking down the street past the market, and you see the shot. I love this shot from inside the market. You see Lorelai walk by past the window and she's gone. And then she comes back and she like pops her head like in the window. And you know, she's got her beady eyes on Dean. And you're like, oh boy, this is going to end badly. So she walks right up to him and goes, I think you're scum. Like, way to come in with the punches, like, flailing. Like, what? Again, emotionally stunted woman. Mm-hmm. This woman with absolutely no tact or common sense. She could have said, I need to know what happened with Rory.
Yeah.
That would be a much better entry. Instead, it's, I think you are scum. I thought you were a good guy and I defended you and I told you if you ever hurt her and blah, 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 on and on and on. And he's like, stop it. I am tired of everybody in this town treating me like I'm a villain and I'm a criminal because I say that I love you. And she just sits there and says nothing.
This is my favorite scene in the whole episode. And this is the moment I've been waiting for weeks and weeks. We finally get Dean's side. We finally get expressed to everyone beyond just Rory and Dean what happened. And it's like someone just went bang, took a pin and like burst this massive balloon of like, oh wait, Dean might be hurting. Hey, Dean might be hurt too. Maybe he could use some support. The thought process, it seems to be the mob mentality of the town has seemed to be, because you've mentioned Rory as like the town sweetheart, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they think we like Rory, we don't know Dean, therefore it's Dean's fault. That's it. That's all. That's it.
Everybody assumed.
And it like one of the few things that just really, really gets me riled up in real life and on television and all kinds of things is injustice and people just making conclusions without knowing all the things. And this has been weighing inside this pit in me for weeks now. Mm-hmm. And remember, this is a teenage boy and this entire town has like blackballed him. and shunned him and is treating him like a villain. We have 2 grown adults plotting his demise. Like, oh my God. So this scene was so refreshing. And I'm so glad that he was given the opportunity to actually like get riled up about it and say it directly to Lorelai as well. Not just, to somebody else in the street or something. He actually gets to like let it out. I'm so happy.
Yes. And what's so infuriating is that not only is this whole town feeling this way, and I'm sure by now Rory knows that people are feeling this way, and she's letting them.
She's letting it,
letting them do that. And if I was him, I would be furious with her. Mm-hmm. And I would have been screaming it from the rooftops at this point. Like at first, okay, maybe it's personal, it's private. She doesn't want to talk about it right now. But when the weeks and weeks go by and people are still treating you like a social pariah and you're like, I didn't do anything, I would have been defending myself at that point. Like being like, I did nothing wrong. Like you guys
and again,
should not be treating me this way.
And I've asked before, like, who are Dean's friends? Who does he have? What support group does he have? The only friend of his we know is Todd. That's literally the only person we've talked about. I don't know if we're ever going to find any more of his friends. I don't know how this goes. But like, oh my God, this poor guy. I didn't like him much at the start.
Imagine
and he's still problematic.
That in the weeks that we haven't seen him, he is out with Todd. He's, a surly, heartbroken guy. But at least he's probably with his like one golden retriever friend who is just like having a nice time and they're watching stupid movies and they're on their bikes and, like they're being teenage boys, hopefully. Yeah. And so he's at least got his one friend that he doesn't need to like explain anything to. So
and I bet Todd doesn't know what actually happened.
Probably not.
Why would they even talk about, I told her I loved her. Man, you told her you loved her? Whoa.
I only love
those guys on the TV. Those guys on the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Dean is basically just like, leave me alone. And Lorelai's gobsmacked. She's like, I didn't know. Like, at least she doesn't try to like back herself up or anything. She immediately is like,
I think she's so floored that she just has no comeback. Nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so she leaves, and end of the day, she's going to get Rory. And the scene starts out, Lorelai gets to the house. She's like, I want to see Rory. I'm here to see Rory. And Emily is like, oh, I haven't prepared her for this. Like maybe, come back another time, whatever. Like she's the parent. She doesn't need preparation for this. Rory, I'm sure at some point is expecting her mom to show up. Like like this is not going to be a surprise. Let Rory make the, again, it just felt like low key being like, oh no, but like we have her, like, but she's here. So maybe like,
please don't have a fight in my house. Please don't have a fight in my house. This is not, we've been doing so well for the last 24 hours. Please don't have a fight in my house.
Yeah, it didn't even feel like don't have a fight. It felt like don't take her from us. Don't take her home because we enjoy having her here and we don't want you to take her home. So yeah, I haven't prepared her. And she's like, I'm going to see my daughter. Like, where is she? And we have this where Emily does not stop, does not take a breath, does not wait for she just talks at her.
What this made me think of is when you're doing the handover of like, okay, we've been babysitting your toddler, and now I'm going to give you very, very quickly the rundown of the entire night. So she did this, and then at 11 o'clock she had her feeding, and then this, and about like it sounds like she's been babysitting a child, not your teenage daughter came here for refuge. You know what I mean? That's it. Yeah.
And that's not in a situation like this. And that's not like what she needs from the moment. She doesn't care that she like got up and had breakfast and stuff. She has like, there's like bigger things going on right now. Like, shut up.
But this is again, Emily not being aware of how to raise and look after and be in charge of a teenager. Cause she's speaking about her as if she's a little child.
Yes, she is very much so.
She's been looking after the child, and here's the rundown. She has been fed, and I like that she's at least now recognizing that she has a granddaughter, as opposed to like the beginning of the season where she was just a total stranger to her, basically.
Yeah.
So, some nice evolution, but yeah.
If you have to say something, if you have something to say, what is her emotional state? Did you guys talk? Is she so compelled? I have this clip.
She got home from school, but she just went right upstairs. Now, she didn't want a snack, but I had Rosa make her one anyway. I haven't checked to see if she's eaten it. She had a decent breakfast this morning, but she did seem a little tired. And when I went into her bathroom, the aspirin bottle was out, so I assumed she had a headache. Now, I don't know if it was last night.
Excuse me, Mr. Cosell. I appreciate the play-by-play, but I just want to talk to my daughter now.
That.
I felt Lorelai in my core. Some writers came into my life, had a look around, went back in time and wrote this scene.
This is where I'm getting the babysitting vibes from. It's just like,
absolutely.
I need to prove to you that I tried everything and that I'm I didn't just sort of let go. Like, I need to prove to you that like I've tried and these are the things, but they didn't work and I don't know if she's eaten or not. It's this desperation.
Yeah. Okay. And so here she says, "Hey, Mr. Cosell, thanks for the play-by-play." And I was like, "Who is that? Who is Mr. Cosell?" Howard Cosell was an American sportscaster. So for like football and baseball. And so, the play-by-play. And it was from the 70s at least. So I imagine it was very, very popular when TVs became more mainstream and live football and live sporting events became more mainstream. I expected, because I watched videos after because I wanted to see who this man was. And I expected, you hear sportscasters now and they talk so fast and you hear them talking and they're talking so fast. But this was a different time. So his sportscasting was like almost dry. It was so slow. And I was like, is this the right guy? But I found some clips.
Ooh.
I spliced two together because they're very entertaining to me.
Oh, good.
The first is him being extremely relatable. And the second was him interviewing John Lennon. So we're in for, just a little side
I'm sat
here. I'm pumped. I think I might try to weave in my own pop culture things with my clips.
Yeah, please.
A little bit now.
Howard Cosell, and it is a typically wind-blown candlestick park, and frankly, I am cold. Your view of this American professional football scene.
It's an amazing event and sight. It makes rock concerts look like tea parties. But
will the Beatles ever reunite?
You never know. You never know. I mean, it's always in the wind. If it looked like this, it might be worth doing, right?
I just love that. As part of a sportscast, he's like, I'm cold. And then, as part of the montage of Cosell moments, there was this John Lennon one, which I just had to put in for fun.
Yes, of course.
And I watched one of him announcing the death of John Lennon as he was sportscasting in the middle of a football game.
Oh my God, imagine.
Yeah, he was like, we are duty bound to tell you that John Lennon in front of his hotel today, it was shot twice in the back and was announced dead on arrival at the hospital. Wow. And in the middle of a football game. Just oh
my God.
Yeah, wild.
Well, I think I can make a bit of sense of that in that he probably, if it was that early on, then he probably would have done it mostly on radio beforehand. So if you think about radio sportscasters, they need to be as clear as they possibly can. I don't know. I'm not really sure. They do tend to go quite quickly. I don't know. I like his delivery.
It was just a different time. I think it was a slower time. He was just there. He was talking, and it was less about the adrenaline and entertainment value. And it was just him. Here we are at the stadium, and this is what's happening today. And he probably did have to enunciate and speak very clearly for the sake of audio quality and being heard and technology and all of that. I liked it. It was great. It's so much better than here we are tonight and there's this high energy No, I like him. He was good stuff. And so she goes in, Lorelai goes into the room to talk to Rory, and immediately Rory is apologetic. She's like, "Mom, I'm so sorry." So that she's been thinking and feeling badly about having just left.
I have a problem with this bit.
Okay.
They very often do the talking over the lines, and like not finishing the sentences. And fine, I can get that as just like a style of dialogue, but that should never happen for an apology.
No, I agree.
Never.
I didn't like it either.
It is so important for a person when they are apologizing to be able to get all of their words out. I think we're supposed to see that, like, yes, they fully understand each other because all of Lorelai's things are like, I know, I understand, I get it, I know. But like, let her apologize. Let her get the words out. I didn't like that very much.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. And then as from the other side of like the person being apologized to, I need to know exactly which bits you're saying sorry about.
Yes.
What are you?
They're so important for explanation and for meaningful understanding.
That's it. Because it's like, are you sorry for screaming at her in the streets and being disrespectful? Are you sorry for leaving and not telling her? Are you sorry for not calling her yourself and like explaining where you are and what's going on? Like, what are you sorry for? Are you sorry that you were worried, but not for any of the other actual things? Because sometimes an apology is I'm sorry you felt that way.
Yeah.
And that's not an apology.
I hate that apology.
Exactly, because it's not real. It's not what the problem, And so, like, what are you sorry for, Rory? And so I get it. Yeah, they are trying to do the, like, you don't need to actually say it. I know you're sorry. Like, I forgive you. Let's talk about it a bit, but move on. But like, we don't need to dwell on what happened because I get what they're trying to do. But like, let's try modeling good communication on television, people.
Yes.
And before Lorelai goes in, Emily's like, "Do you want me to go in there with you?" Lorelai's like, "More than anything," like ridiculous. And then she tells her to be nice. And it's like, thanks for the tip. Like, what? Like, what was it going to do? Like, the only person that I'm mean to you is you, Mom. The only person I'm mean to is you.
I think this further supports my thoughts that Emily believes that like the instant that Lorelai and Rory will talk again, it's just going to be straight back to the fight. And I think that's just what she's expecting, like with or without her own sort of satisfying satisfaction and glee from a fight. But like, I think that's what she expects. And
it probably was like that with them. That like they would separate and come back and keep fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I fully agree with from the Rory perspective, she wants to protect Rory. Mm-hmm. But then she also wants to throw it back in Lorelai's face a little bit. Whether consciously or subconsciously. She's pleased to an extent. And so I actually noticed in this scene when they're hugging that there's not only an NSYNC poster in the bedroom, but it is in a gilded frame. It's not just pasted to the wall or taped up. It is in a gilded, giant, chunky frame. It is the Emily version of the boy band, and it is so funny.
I love it. I wonder if it's in the frame with like whatever the original print was, just tucked behind it.
Right.
Because that's what I do with mine.
Picture of Trix. It's a portrait. And she's just like, we don't need it.
Oh, that'd be thrilling.
Where is Trix?
She's been sidelined for Justin Timberlake.
Better choice. And so ultimately, Lorelai does handle it really, really well. She goes,
yes.
You're allowed to be upset, but we need to talk about things. We need to be able to keep our special thing going by coming together and talking, not running away. Like, that's not what we are. And Rory's like, I know, I just, she's apologetic and obviously she's had time to think about it. And they hug and agree and apologize and everybody's on the same page. And then Lorelai tells her, like, I talked to Dean. Well, first she asks. Again, she gives Rory the chance to tell her what happened. So she doesn't want to necessarily jump in with, well, Dean told me this. She wants to give Rory, again, the opportunity to tell her side of what happened. And Rory still is like, I can't talk about it. It's like, man, you guys just did so well.
It's been like 2 months by this point. Come on, girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, well, I talked to Dean. And she's like, no, you didn't. She's like, oh, I did. Like, you left me zero choice at this point. Like, if you're going to be treating everybody terribly and running off into the night, I need answers. And so she's like, I know what happened. I know you couldn't say that I love you. And I'm not saying that you have to say it with Dean, but I would like you to be able to say I love you when you feel it and want to. I love that she says, I love that you have, you know, my eyes and my taste in music, but I don't want you having my like track record with commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's some self-reflection, as well as some really important thinking about how her behavior can affect and her daughter growing up, and thinking about her daughter being a grown-up and existing in the world. I'm sure she has thought about it before, but she doesn't really seem to have spoken about it beyond like, oh, you're going to go to Harvard because you've always wanted to go to Harvard. Great. Yeah. The script in this scene is fantastic. And we finally get some thoughtful and useful words from Lorelai. And like, she almost got there last week when she was in Rory's new room, in the same room, actually, but talking with Emily.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, she started off well, but obviously there it went. Phew. But yay, improvements, maturity, and thoughtfulness. Finally.
Yeah. And I think the only times that she forces herself to like stop and think and reflect is when she realizes it's impacting Rory.
Yes.
Everybody else, be damned. But when her behaviors impact Rory, then she takes a step back and is like, oh, okay, it's not just me doing this to myself. She sees what I'm doing. She notices. And that's when it becomes a problem. And it's not because it's a problem for her, even though it causes problems for her. It's because it's going to shift or impact how Rory sees the world and relationships and how she's brought up. And so Rory, first she's like, what are you talking about? Like, she is showing her immaturity here and not realizing that the situation with Dean may have been impacted by the fact that Rory or Lorelai hasn't had steady relationships and shown how to love another person in a romantic way in their lives. At first, she's like completely oblivious to that fact. And then she's like, oh.
This is not just a mom flaw. This is a thing that can affect me.
Yeah. So they're both having sort of like an aha moment.
By the end of their conversation, after the whole hypothetical scenario, you're dating Taylor Hanson thing.
I forgot about that. That bothered me too. I didn't like that one either.
It was not necessary. You don't have to talk about. But Rory starts doing the Lorelai thing of jumping in to her hypothetical and derailing it. And Lorelai is the one who says, hey, someone's trying to make a point here. Mm-hmm. The number of times that I wish someone would say that to Lorelai. It's like she's almost there. She knows it's a thing that can happen, that like someone can start a conversation off on a totally wrong thing without reading the room, that someone can derail and jump all over making a point. You do that. Do you know this, Lorelai? You do that. Yeah. And just while I'm talking about Lorelai's language and Lorelai's speaking and things, something that she's consistently been doing, and I don't think she recognizes yet, but the way that it can affect Rory is anytime she talks about her parents or their house, she uses such heavy, angry language that I don't think she realizes how that can affect Rory's own perspective of her parents. Like she, at the start of this scene, she says, they're talking about that Rory ran away, and she's like, so you came to hell? Like, big dramatic language, sure. But like, Rory knows that you hate being there. Rory knows that you have a problem with this. But regular use of this kind of language, it's poisoning Rory's relationship with her grandparents. And I'm not sure if she's aware, or it could. I'm not sure she's aware of that, of how much could be affecting Rory's own perception of her grandparents. And like, this is not all right. Like, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and it's totally unnecessary. We get it. We know that you don't like that. You have a tough relationship with your parents, but it should not affect the relationship that your daughter has with her grandparents. And it's just one of these little reoccurring things that I don't think she's aware of at all.
No, I don't think she is either, because
She's careless with her language.
She's very careless with her language. And I think that Rory has probably grown up her entire life hearing stuff like that and is really like brave and mature for wanting to form her own opinions. And I think even though her mom says stuff like that, now that Rory has taken it upon herself to form a relationship with her grandparents, I don't think that that's going to poison her. I think Rory is actually working to form her own opinions, and that may have had more of an impact on Rory at the beginning of the season or even before, but now Rory is more immune to it and almost thinks it's like ridiculous because she knows
that's her maturity showing, and Lorelai's immaturity.
Oh, 100%. She's so emotionally stunted. Like, she stopped maturing when she left the house at 16, if not earlier than that. Like, she wasn't given the opportunity to become a mature adult, just like with the amount of smothering that she had to endure when she was growing up. And so she just like stopped. And I don't think we'll ever be able to like pull herself out of it, especially when it comes to her parents. And I think Rory, because she also doesn't get that treatment from her grandparents at all. So she is able to brush it off, I think. And
I hope so.
Like, it's not okay for Lorelai to be saying stuff like that, because she was safe in a beautiful house, well taken care of. Like, she didn't go to hell. Like, it wasn't, she didn't run off to like a crack house or something. She went to her grandparents' place and they treated her well. It would have been hell for Lorelai, but not for Rory. And I think Rory recognizes that, and it's just like, Mom, whatever. And so, they leave, and Richard and Emily are like, it's just the two of us again, and they're cute, and they walk off. And then as they're driving home, Rory decides that she wants to apologize to Lane as well. Like, I think the rage has been completely doused, and she's just like, okay, now I really need to mend more fences. She asks Lorelai to drop her off, and we've got like the la-las going, and Rory knocks on the door. Lane opens the door, and she gives her a big hug.
I rather love how quick the Lane coming to the door and them having a few seconds of words and then the hug, because of course, I mean, they are that close friends. I think probably all that Rory said was just like, I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. And then the hug. Like, I feel like that's all that was necessary, because of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Lane knows she's going through a hard time. She didn't mean any of it. It was scary and jarring and unsettling and hurt to see Dean anywhere, let alone in your best friend's house. Like, she knows that it just would have sucked. And Lane is great. And that was beautiful and lovely. And so Lorelai heads home and calls Max and tells him that she's going to go through her whole address book and tell everybody that she knows that they have been talking for 2 weeks. But she does say that they're dating again. So they made it more official or whatever. And then they like make a joke about it, and he wants to see her tonight. And she's like, I can't, I'm busy. I have calls to make. Like, I've got things to do. She said she's going to tell everybody at the inn. She's going to leave little notices on their pillows. And so she makes a big thing of it. And then Max just says goodnight, Lorelai, and like hangs up the phone. That bugs me when people just like, you call, you say like 2 things and not just like, okay, so like, how was your day? Did you get Rory? How are things going?
Now is the time to ask questions about Rory.
And yes. And he's just like, bye, Lorelai. It's like, oh, was that the end of the conversation? I didn't realize we wrapped it up. Like, just like, little pet peeve of mine. Lorelai starts dialing. She starts making some calls.
Yeah, she meant it. She meant it. And she goes deep, the deep end first. Yeah. Wow.
Calling a distant cousin or somebody. So that's the episode. And then next week, it's the finale.
Oh my God. I don't actually know what to expect. I'm trying to think of like, what have we, what
Yeah, like, do you have any
what
theories?
friendships? I don't know, because like in shows like Buffy, we have the big bad every season. And like in some way we have to defeat the big bad by the end of the season. So that's usually what the season finale is. But we don't have a big bad. We don't have we don't have like a big event that we're preparing for reaching by the end of this. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Dean again. I hope we do. If not next episode, then like, I don't know. Does he leave? I wouldn't be surprised if he moved away. He's like, I have an uncle who lives in Florida. I'm going to go live there. Like,
Right? Like, this town is going to eat me alive. I am gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I would fund that move.
Early days of GoFundMe. This town is being mean to me. There's injustice. I need
to escape. I can mend your bike, but that's all I can do. No, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't go back to the school again, but I kind of hope we do, because I don't know. I feel like the Paris thing is still very like, I still can't tell when they're going to be friends and when they're not. Maybe it's never going to be friends. I don't really know, but I kind of hope we see Paris soon. But yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight. I almost expect that, or I suspect that the season could end on a sour note. It's not going to end happily. In those days, you were almost guaranteed a second season. So you could end it on like a cliffhanger. So I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see in a few days when I watch it.
I cannot wait to like grab this soundbite and then like insert it into the next episode with the final scene. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best.
Okay. Well, that's it. As always, thanks so much for joining us this week. Give us a like if you like. Leave us a comment. We do love hearing from you. Subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube, on Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Until next time, she's been Lisa. I've been Jenny. We have been the Belladonna Watch Club. We'll see you soon.